Welcome, everyone. It's Andrew Beach. I'm an executive career coach. I'm a teacher of self-education. I help professionals like you communicate their value to find great opportunities faster, whether you're working or not. I do that through branded networking and professional communications. Good. If you want free coaching, there is a link in the chat to do that. Leave any questions you have here. This is free time for you. This is my way to pay it forward, pay it back, whatever you want to call it, to give you something of value this Friday. This is Career Happy Hour, a chance for you to participate. If you have questions, please go ahead and put those in the chat, or if you want to come on live and get some live coaching, we can do that too. I didn't have much planned for today, as usual. I do have some things that are kind of floating around in my mind. But before we get to those, if you would please, whatever platform you're joining from, go ahead and click the share button. It's typically down below the video. Let people in your network know that we're here, that it's free coaching. Who doesn't like free? I don't know about you, but I like free. And if I could get some free coaching, I would be all over it. Every Friday, 3 o'clock Pacific time, I will have something going, even if I'm joining you by pre-recorded video, which is probably going to happen in a couple weeks because I got some vacation coming up. So that's what's going on my side. So hair's kind of messed up there. I was outside doing some last minute preps in the garden. Any gardeners here today? There's probably a handful of gardeners today. I know that our friend Terry Smith likes to garden. Do you like to garden? Let me know if you have how would you say it? A therapy that you enjoy. My therapy is gardening or yard work, yard therapy, garden therapy, whatever you want to call that. So good. Thank you. Good to see you, Chelsea. Vimal, good to see you. Tomas, good to have you. I'm in Portland, Oregon, actually. Where are you joining from? Let me know in the chat. Happy to answer any questions that you got regarding networking, interviewing, finding companies, initiating conversations, whatever that looks like, or just in general related to job search. So anything you have is great for me. Okay, so there were some topics or some things that I would certainly like to talk about, but if you have questions, that's why I'm here. I'm here to answer your questions. Go ahead and put those in the chat. You can use the hashtag Career Happy Hour. That helps me find those things. There's also a link in the chat wherever you're joining from that would have a link to join live. So when that happens, I'll get a notification. You'll be put in a waiting room. Make sure you close the other window so that we don't get echo audio. So that would be helpful. So you can either put your questions in the chat or you can come on live. Either way is just fine by me. And if you find this session helpful, please share it with your network. We're here to support your success, whatever it takes. So the topic today, the thing that was most on my mind is actually networking, but not from a position that you might think. And that is networking with purpose. How do we keep that purpose going so that the networking we do doesn't have fits and starts, doesn't start and stop? You know what I mean? You get into the networking rhythm, you meet a few people and feel things are going well, and then all of a sudden you don't have anything scheduled. You're kind of starting flat-footed. You sometimes question or doubt that it's actually working. I know that I've been there, that's for sure. So if that's you, let me know in the chat. Is that you? Have you had challenges trying to sustain effective networking? This is whether you're working or not, by the way. If you're working, it just means you have fewer cycles, but you have no excuses. Let's just put it that way. None of us really have excuses not to network. They're just not valid. So we can put those to bed. The excuses that you have not to network are just not valid. Not valid. In any event, what I'm trying to communicate here today, at least the thought of the day or something to consider on your side, is what is my purpose in networking? What is my purpose when I network? And you might think, okay, well, it's to find a job. Well, no, that's actually the outcome you get from the networking. That's not your purpose for networking. And that's what can be kind of a paradox, So how do we network with a purpose so that we seem to be, I don't know, more approachable, that we have longevity in the networking process, that we can sustain it, that we have some resilience, that we can stick with it, if you know what I mean. Stick with the process of networking, because it could take some time. So that said, so the mindset that I would encourage you to have in terms of the networking cadence, let's call it a cadence or a rhythm. Can we call it that? A cadence is that, think of it maybe as an apple a day. If you know the old adage, an apple a day keeps the doctor away. And I like, I like what my friend Jim Rohn said. He's not really my friend, but he's somebody that I follow and appreciate. He's since passed, but he said, what if that was true? What if an apple a day did keep the doctor away? Would you do it? If it meant that you could live longer, would you eat one apple a day? And the answer is probably yes. You would. You would eat that one apple a day. Well, can we think of networking that way? Could we meet just one new person today? One new person. Now, you can qualify that however you want. I look at it as somebody I don't yet know. Now, I might be familiar with them. They might be an acquaintance, but it's somebody I don't yet know. So that could fill a lot of blanks. Perhaps your definition might be, hey, somebody I haven't talked to in over a year. Okay, that would be somebody that you'd want to reconnect with. So whatever the definition is for you, what would allow you to contact or talk to just one new person a day? Could you do that? Could you talk to one new person every day? Could each day only be a success if you talk to one person? I'm going to say that, hey, some people think that success is, hey, if I don't make an application for a job today, it's not a success. Or in sales, if I don't make a sale today, it's not a success. Okay, can we do the same kind of mindset for networking? Could we meet literally one new person today, even this afternoon or this evening, wherever you're at? Could you meet one new person today? And the answer is yes, you could. But will you? Will you make a commitment to everybody here? This is a community, by the way. It's not just me. This is a community, and you'll probably notice that in the chat, that the same people show up here Friday after Friday after Friday. Why is that? Well, first, they get value, but they recognize it's a community. And we encourage people in the chat to connect with each other. We're here to foster community. Okay? Could you make a commitment to those people in this community, not just to me, but to everybody in this community, that you will, at least for the next week, let's just say for the next week, will you contact one new person every work day? Could you do that? That's 5 people between now and next Friday when we meet again. Could you do that? Okay? Now, that means not just connecting on LinkedIn, like, hey, I sent a connection request and they said yes. By this, I mean a conversation, a dialogue between two people. Now, I've heard it said that, sometimes you get through the end of the day and you're like, wow, I haven't met my one person. I don't know how I'm going to do this, but I need to go talk to somebody. They leave the house, drive their car down to the nearest Starbucks. This can be problematic today, of course, in terms of the pandemic. But they just drive until they see a person and they stop and they have a conversation. Are you going to approach it with that kind of tenacity and urgency? Can you do that? Just one new person a day? Okay. One new person a day. We're not going to judge who these people are. What I would suggest is that each person that you meet is a conduit to a bunch of people you don't know. And we can't judge somebody based on their capacity to help us. We can only judge them based on we can't judge them based on that. What we can say is that, could they introduce us to somebody? The answer is yes, they could. And our job is to make sure that they introduce us to one person that's one step closer to what I'm trying to achieve as part of my purpose. So the one thing I saw, at least it's happening to me, every year our church does a volunteer effort. It's called the Good Neighbor Project. And why is that important? Well, we do it every year. It's become kind of a regular thing. But in the last few years, we've kind of done the same projects at the same places, and it gets kind of, how would you say it, stale? And the nice thing is, I should say, the blessing in the pandemic is that a lot of the places that we used to serve every year, although we aren't able to serve to them, which is a tragedy, forces us to look for new ways to execute a volunteer operation. And that is a good thing. Think about it from that perspective. So I can reach out to this organization, maybe it's a homeless shelter, and I've never talked to them before, and now I'm generating a new relationship. So I'm creating something that used to be 0. I'm just taking it to 1. I'm not looking to get something out of this. I'm looking to give something to this. You see the difference? Now, for those of you that do meet with people on a regular basis, you might think of it this way, is that for every one I meet, I'm going to schedule another one. Okay, so maybe you're already meeting one person a day. Well, maybe you just take it to the next step. Maybe I schedule an additional person every day. And so we're ramping up. Why is that important? Because we won't know if somebody is quality unless we have quantity. Let me say that again. We won't know that some conversation is quality until we have quantity, because we won't have any judge or barometer to know if this person is more helpful or that one is. I remember I met a barista once, and you may have heard this or not, but this barista happened to be the niece of a CEO of a major corporation here in Portland. But I could have judged her as a barista and say she's not going to have any input or value in my career search, so I'm going to disqualify her as a potential networking opportunity. Why on earth would I do that? She has trust with the CEO because she was the one, as a niece, that would accompany him on the private jet when they went on vacation. When he went to industry events and the family came with him, she would look after the kids as they went to maybe a black tie dinner or something of that nature. So think about it from that perspective. You never know who the people you meet might lead you to, okay? So keep that in mind. I'll go through and answer some of these questions here in just a second. I just wanted to kind of complete that thought, just so that you would, let's see, asparagus. Yeah, the funny thing about asparagus is I think you have to plant it, and it's kind of like, I don't know, it's kind of like growing a fruit tree. You have to wait several years before it actually generates, but then it's like generating every year. So good call out. I should probably plant some asparagus this year, at least in the fall, perhaps. So thank you for that. Good. Bemal in New Jersey. Tomas in Grants Pass. Good. Let's see. Tomas says, hey, I would love to join you in an interview in the near future. Okay. Well, you can come on right now if you want. I'm happy to do that. Question from Bobby. And, we get this a lot. What would you recommend when cold calling a hiring manager as a script to introduce yourself and you applied to a post? I would not recommend that as a reactive strategy that's going to be successful, but it does work. It just doesn't work as well as getting introduced to that person by a third party. So if all else fails, then yes, I would reach out to that person directly, but I would not make that my standard of practice unless I was in sales. So Bobby, if you're in sales, that's a valid process, because guess what? A sales manager, a VP of sales, let me grab a drink. A VP of sales, a sales manager is really going to appreciate somebody that reaches out to them proactively, is unafraid, that sort of thing. But not every hiring manager, every VP, every director is going to appreciate that. Okay, so if you're in sales, then yes, I think that's a valid process. If you're not in sales, or perhaps even if you are in sales, but for everybody else, for most every situation, I want to have somebody I know on that team. Do you know anybody on that team? The answer is probably no, because you made a post, an application to a post, which is a reactive strategy. Now, that's not bad. It's just not as effective. So yes, spend some of your time making applications, spend some of your time in the reactive strategy, but don't spend all your time there. Spend, I don't know, 20, 25% of your time there, 70, 75% of your time meeting new people, building relationships, identifying target companies, whether there's an open position or not. That's what I would recommend. Now, is there a script I would use? Yeah. Hi, I'm Bobby, and I'm your next great fill in the blank with the title. Do you have time to talk about this opening? If you're going to be bold, you might as well just go for it. Okay. If not, I appreciate the fact that you are busy right now. Can we schedule time to talk about this one-on-one? Right. So actually, what I would recommend, Bobby, is that if you're wanting to go this way, it's super valid to take a look at some of the scripts or things that you might find on the internet from salespeople, because this is a sales process. I would really encourage you to take a look at, understanding how prospecting and how scripts and dialogues work. So the first thing to say is, hi, this is Bobby Saha. Is this a good time to speak? I'm interested in a job with your company. Is this a good time to speak? Or I applied for a job at your company. Is this a good time to speak? I applied for a job at your company in your department. Is this a good time to speak? Okay. Whatever that looks like, make sure that you get permission to speak to them. The more they say yes, the more likely there are to say yes later when it comes to scheduling an interview. So take a look at that. One of the guys that I really respected because his dialogues were really simple is Steve Kloida. Steve unfortunately passed away in the last year from cancer, but I think his podcast is still up. I can try to find it for you. Maybe I can find it and send it to Tomas. Let me make a note of that, okay? Or Bobby. I'll put it in. Maybe I'll even attach it or put it on my feed. So if you're following me or you're connected to me, I'll find the Steve Kloida scripts. And it's just it's just a prospecting script. And it's super valid for job search if you're going to do the reactive strategy and then go right to third base to try to get an interview. Okay. Good. Congratulations, Chelsea. You've had 2 interviews. Good job. You took an agile method class. I found that taking more classes and getting more certs can really help. You know what it is? It's sharpening the saw, and that can increase your confidence. So I'm all for things that can sharpen your saw and increase your confidence. What I always am kind of concerned about as a coach is people using education and certifications and those processes to avoid doing the networking. So if that's the case, you might want to look at networking. And I'm glad that you had 2 interviews. Have you met one person a day? One new person a day? Could you do that? Okay. And then Chelsea says, I feel like my purpose is to learn from others on their processes. What am I missing? What sorts of experiences am I missing or needed? What are some of the big tips and best known methods? I get it, right? But there's a process there. And so you can start with that. And that could be your, how would you say it? Your lead in. It could be, hey, I'm working on a project. I'm trying to identify these things and I'm looking to learn. That's a super valid method. Now, how many people you can approach with that is certainly going to diminish as you start getting deeper into these conversations, because at some point you will have learned everything, hopefully, and you want to then transition from being just in a learning mode to letting them know, yes, I'm in a process for employment, but no, I don't imagine you have a job for me. Here's what I am imagining, right? That you have information, advice, that sort of thing regarding best known methods, etc. So that, I think that's a valid way to approach it. The thing is, you want to have a pretty solid ask. And if you're familiar with the network anatomy of a networking conversation, you can download that on jobseekersradio.com. It's a wonderful tool that Scott and I have put together. It just walks you through how to run a network meeting so that it's productive for job search. Let's be clear about that. Productive for job search does not mean demanding employment. And so we talk about that. Go to jobseekersradio.com. Right on the homepage, you can put your email in there and you can download that networking conversation. It's super helpful. At least I hope it's super helpful. Has anybody used it? There's also a networking checklist on my website, andrewbeach.com. You can download free stuff. There's all kinds of free stuff there. Okay. You can download that on the homepage of my website, andrewbeach.com. Okay. So here's a challenge, Chelsea, in terms of the ask that you just positioned there, is that can they connect you to others that may be hiring? The people that you're talking to may not have any idea whether or not that company is hiring. And in fact, if you said that you were there for a position of learning and not interested in them providing you employment, you just lied, right? So I don't know that that's what you did or not, but I'm just saying, I'm approaching this from a perspective of open hands. I don't expect anything other than information advice, connection to people. Now, whether or not they're hiring is a filter that person may not understand. So I'm now projecting my, how would I say it? My pre-qualification criteria. Well, I'd like you to introduce me to people who have, this is the one I really love, to companies that have great work-life balance or have engaged leadership, or, you could just go down the list of all the parameters that you want in the ideal employer, that person is going to have no clue, nor are they going to have the same definition of those things that you do. So be careful. You identify the companies. You tell them what companies you're interested, what roles you're seeking, and then you can reverse engineer and ask based on that. So what does that mean? I would say, I'm looking for introduction to strategic connections in program management at Intel, specifically in XYZ group. Program managers, maybe senior program managers or directors of program management. Is there anybody do you think that I should talk to about that? Okay. Maybe your Apple is 5 people a week. That's 1 person a day. I'd love 10 a week from my network. Maybe see what connections we have that I'm not already connected to it, but should be. Yeah, totally. I get it. If you can do more, do more. It's establishing a minimum standard. So part of this is saying, okay, I may be out of work right now. I've got a lot of cycles. Maybe I do more. Fine, great. When you're back to work, what commitment do you now have to the networking to pay it forward? All right. So the idea here now is what can I do to pay this forward, knowing that at some point I might be back in this position. And if I am, and there's another pandemic, God forbid, or something that happens and I'm now out of employment again, then I want to make sure that I have those connections already set up, incubated, and solid. Okay. Ask them, do you know anyone that you should talk to in your field? And the answer to that is no. Right. Every time I get a yes, no answer, I'm going to answer no. Why? That's a reflex. Okay. It's no different than when you go to, say, a retail store, Target, Walmart, Macy's, whatever that looks like, Nordstrom, whatever store you go to. Sir, can I help you? Ma'am, can I help you? No, I'm just looking. Okay. It's a reflex. And all of us are conditioned that way to say, no, I'm just looking. And when it comes to networking, it's really no different. Is that most people, if they are given a choice to say yes or no, likely are going to say no if it means more work for them. Okay. Let's see. I tried connecting with 5 people first, but no response. Okay. It happens. The thing is, if you're doing a reactive strategy and it's based on a need for employment, that's tactical. Let's recognize that's tactical. It's not strategic. We want you to be strategic in this process. Okay. Please send you a copy of what, Ted? Good to see you, Ted, by the way. A regular here on Career Happy Hour every Friday, 3 p.m. Pacific time. If you find this valuable, please share it with your network. If you want to come on live, I will put a link in the chat. Let me see here. Settings, invite guests. I can have up to 6 people on the stream. That's exciting. I'll go ahead and put this in the LinkedIn chat, and then I'll also put it in the YouTube chat. So wherever you're joining from, you can join. If you want to come on live, let's do this. Okay. Good. So, and this is a community. Like I said, network with the people in the chat. If there's people there that you're not yet connected to, reach out to them, connect with them, have a conversation. I'm seeing, how many people are here? There's 10 people here. So if each of you reached out to one of those people, each of those people other than yourself, that's 9 people. Okay. Could you network with 9 people in a week? Okay. I had an error downloading the networking checklist. So that's weird. Yeah, Joel, if you could send me an email or a LinkedIn message on that, I'd like to see what you're seeing. I think I might have fixed that when you sent me that message. I might have fixed it. You might try it again. So I apologize for that. How long should I ask for time to connect? 15 minutes or less? I like 25 minutes. 25 minutes. Why 25 minutes? Well, 20 minutes, they might block 15. 30 minutes, it's too long. 25 minutes is kind of in that middle ground where maybe they book 30, but then they have to block 45. It's kind of that gray area. I like 25 minutes. 25 minutes, 20 to 25 minutes. Okay. So I give them a range. So good. Agile trail. Good. Andrew, thank you for generosity. Yeah, of course. Diana, I'm here for you guys. I'm here to support your success. And so if you want to come on live, I'm happy to answer any of the questions that you have. Yeah, so connect with each other, please. Oh, good. Excellent. I like that, Ted. In fact, being remembered is one of the key processes in job search or anything related to networking, is that it's the old what goes around comes around philosophy, is that if I put the seed out there, I put something out there and people remember me, that seed may not be harvested for 3 or 6 months or a year or 2 years, or who knows. Okay. Okay. Yeah, no, I will post it on my LinkedIn page, and I'll try to put it in the chat here, but that's problematic. Putting things in the chat here after the fact and then going back and trying to find them. LinkedIn, the chat disappears. So I don't know what happens, but it's not great. Okay. Good. I'll put that out there. Diana, what do you mean? I'm great with networking, but terrible with selling myself. If you're great at well, so first of all, let's define sales. Sales, in my mind, and I've looked at a lot of definitions, is the art of asking good questions that leads two parties to a desired endpoint, okay? To a desired endpoint for both parties, okay? The art of asking questions to get two people to the same endpoint that they both want to go, okay? That they both want to go. So does that match up with your definition of selling? Maybe you believe selling is talking about myself ad nauseum until someone is submitted into saying yes to me and my candidacy. Is that fair? Okay. Now, yes, there's a 5 steps in a sales process. We can go into that, but I'm not going to do that today. But the idea here is that we need to change our perception of what selling is. And so really part of this is also building reputation. What sort of reputation do I want? Someone who talks about themselves all the time, that sort of thing. So Diana, just make sure that you're in alignment with your values and how you want to be known. What is your reputation? Okay. Good deal. Excellent. Well, hey, you know what? Here's the thing, Diana. I think it's okay to hold back, but that sounds to me like confidence. And so it's not that you're not able to sell yourself. You might just be lacking confident communication. I always encourage people, instead of talking about yourself, which most people don't like, is just tell the truth. Be humble, tell the truth. What is the truth? This is what I did. This is where we went. This is the results that were obtained, right? I'm just going to share the facts. Would that be valuable? And so could I be a better salesperson by just sharing the facts, telling the truth? Okay. And so that's something to think about. So good. Craig's got a question. Connect with recruiters on LinkedIn. Absolutely. I would connect with anybody that's going to get me one step closer to my objective. So the bigger question is, what's your objective? And I don't know the answer to that. But my suspicion is it's to get hired somewhere. And if your objective is to get hired somewhere, yes, connect with recruiters. Because what happens when they have that requisition that just got approved through finance and all the accounting people? And what is the first thing you think they do? You think they're going to take that requisition and post it online? Of course not. They're going right to LinkedIn. They're searching their network to see if they can find a pool, a candidate pool that meets the needs of that requisition right now. Why wait? Most of the good recruiters I know go that direction. Others, they're more driven by the process, right? And HR, talent acquisition, is a process. It just shouldn't feel like it as a candidate or somebody in talent acquisition. So yes, the nice thing about connecting with recruiters, though, that I hadn't thought about, is it gives you visibility. It gives you visibility to more people, meaning they're typically connected to a lot of folks. And although they won't potentially connect you to those people, they will definitely put you in a position of seeing more people in the search results on LinkedIn. So yes, I'm just not expecting them to do anything for me. Even if I reach out to them and ask for a conversation, the probability is fairly low that they're going to say yes. My experience alone, I encourage people to go for hiring managers in the operation for which you want employment. If you want to do the networking piece, okay? Unless you want jobs in talent acquisition, so I could be wrong. If you want jobs in talent acquisition, then you're in the right place, okay? Good. Let's see. Good. So if there's any other questions, put those in the chat. If anybody wants to come on live, the link is in the chat. Diana, if you want to come on, I'm happy to have a conversation with you about building confident communications. Even if you're a scientist, there's ways to do that. I'm sure there's something in science that you're excited about. Good. And then if you guys find this valuable, go ahead and share it with your network. Click the little share button down below. So we talked about Apple a day already. So the next thing to think about is if you're at a networking conversation, you should really set yourself up for success. Meaning I should get at least one name from every person that I talk to, one name of another person. Why? Because starting up the networking and keeping the momentum is challenging for sure. So not only should I have an Apple a day, but I should also add one a day, right? Seek one a day. Meaning if I meet somebody and I have that conversation today, I just want an introduction to another person so that I don't have to go back to zero or back to the cold side of the tracks to find that person. Find that person. Now, some of us don't do the networking, much like sales we talked about just a moment ago. We don't do the networking because we don't know what it is, right? So we need to change the definition of what it is, okay? What is the definition that you have of networking? And often it's people saying, reaching out to people I don't know to talk about employment. And that's partially true, but it's certainly not inspiring for you, nor is it comfortable for most people. What if we looked at networking or we changed that definition in our own minds to something else, okay? Maybe networking is just looking for someone who needs your help. Maybe I'm looking for someone who needs my help. Now, could I go on LinkedIn or Facebook or any social channel and find somebody who needs my help? Absolutely. If I go to my LinkedIn network and I see somebody who posted one of those, what do you call it? Open to work. They say, hey, I'm open to work. If you have any suggestions for me or advice or connections, reach out, right? Which I'm not a fan of that whole open to work, but that's a discussion for another day. But if I did see somebody who did that, I might reach out to them and say, hey, best practice. Are you sure you want to brand yourself that way? We could go into that discussion. But I would be looking for any way to reach out to that person, have a conversation, and see how I can help. Any way at all. Now networking is something a little bit different, isn't it? How can I help you? How can I make a contribution to you? How can I, as a person in my position, help you understand networking better or positioning yourself better on LinkedIn? If there's an area I have expertise, as a scientist, let's say, could I offer that science background pro bono to somebody else? Okay, maybe this is just you looking for people who need your help. Is there a lot of people right now that need help, including us, you and me, this community? Are people here willing to help each other? Are you going to make a commitment? Are you going to commit to meeting everybody that's in the chat? Are you going to reach out and connect with them on LinkedIn and then follow up and ask for a conversation? And when they do, will you say yes? Will you say yes? Let me know in the chat. Let me know in the chat. Will you do that? Okay. Will you make that commitment? So Vimal, I had a phone interview scheduled today at 12, but have not received the call from the recruiter. So please advise. I'm not sure what you're asking there, but that doesn't go well for recruitment, talent acquisition, if they're not following up on their promises. Now, you might want to confirm What time zone are they in? And did you have the right time? Did you have did you schedule a meeting event with that recruiter? Did they schedule one with you? What did that look like? Was there a confirmation? Did you have a cell phone number to call the recruiter if something came up and you needed to reschedule? Okay. So think about it from that perspective, is that also, just generally speaking, Monday mornings and Friday afternoons are just not a great time to have interviews. Okay. Unless that company is in a position where they have to hire somebody by the end of the week, it's just not good. You're going to have a high probability of cancellation, that there's going to be somebody that should be there that isn't. Okay. So keep that in mind. Okay. So if we're always looking for one person a day to meet, if we're always looking to get one name from that person, and we're changing the definition of networking, doesn't that make it a little more fun? Doesn't it make it a little more fun if we can kind of make it something different than what we thought it was? Of course. The other thing to help keep you kind of in a cadence and keep you engaged in a process like this is I keep above my desk, funny enough, a little sticky note. It says 7 habits on it. And many of you may be familiar with Covey's 7 habits, maybe not. But the thing I like about Covey's 7 habits is they extrapolate really well to networking. They extrapolate really well to networking and job search in general, right? So the first one is be proactive. So we talked a little bit ago about doing applications and then reaching out to a hiring manager. That's a strategy. It's somewhat tactical, but it does work, okay? But remember, that's not proactive. It's reactive by nature. So what is the proactive stance? Reaching out to the said hiring manager, whether there's a position open or not, just to have a conversation. And then from there, begin with the end in mind, put the first things first, and then win-win. Think win-win. Think win-win. In what cases right now could you think win-win? Where you could get something and they could get something. Would that be volunteering? I mentioned that annual thing for our church just a moment ago, the Good Neighbor Project, that we do that every year, every summer, right before Labor Day. So the weekend before Labor Day, every year, our whole church takes Sunday off and we go do projects in the community. We take that Sunday off. And I don't know about you, but church is a business. And anytime a business takes a day off, the whole business, that's a financial burden. So think about it from that perspective. How many churches how many businesses just take a day off to serve the community? Not many, okay? Not many. But here's the thing. Volunteering is a win-win. So is there some way you could volunteer? Maybe that's with the food bank. Maybe you have neighbors of yours that are suffering from potential homelessness. There's a lot of ways that you can offer something and get something in return, okay? Maybe it's just feeling better about your situation. The funny thing is I just went on, what was it? I was on Craigslist. I was just looking for some stuff for cheap or something to use around the house, gardening equipment, that sort of thing for my yard therapy. And what I found was there was something on there that I wasn't aware of before called gigs, Gigs. And Craigslist is kind of the Wild West, so I don't pay much mind to it. But there was a whole section of people there willing to do contract work for little money. And I thought to myself, if I really needed help with somebody to take, say, a load of goods to Goodwill, and it would cost me $20 to do that, would I do that? Of course I would. If somebody needed help reviewing a resume on this Craigslist gigs, hey, need help reviewing resume, reach out to me and let me know the cost. Would I do that? Would I do that? Now, some of those may actually be paid. So the win-win might be, hey, they get a service, I get paid. That's a win-win. Now, it might not be a lot of money, but it helps you feel productive. I mean, there was a point in time where I was working at FedEx, not because because I was in between jobs and building a business. I needed some income and I was having a child, so I needed healthcare. And the nice thing about FedEx at the time, I don't know if it's still true, but they offered health benefits to part-time employees. And that my second daughter cost me, I think, like $150. That was cheaper than my first daughter when we had, the corporate, the other insurances. But anyway, that said, volunteering is a good way to think about win-win. And there's many ways to do that through your local organizations. If you can't find anything, go to that Craigslist, look at the gigs section, and you'd be surprised how many people are out there that need help and might actually pay for it. So, I mean, that's a way to get a win-win. Good. Let's see. Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate, Vimal. I'm sorry. Not everybody's perfect. So I think we need to give even the recruiter who messed up and missed the appointment some grace and understanding that something might have happened, right? We don't know what happened, but something might have happened, and you know what? This stuff happens. So we can only control our activities. We can't control the process at the company we want to potentially work for. So what does that mean? Well, that means we need to go meet another person, right? We need to get back into the process of things we control, and that's going to help us feel better about not having that interview, okay? So maybe it's just a matter of saying, hey, Chelsea, would you have 5, 10, 15 minutes to talk after the stream today? Hey, Joe, would you be open to having a conversation? Hey, Diana, you and I are both in technology science. Would you have a time to talk to a fellow scientist? Okay, this is a community. Okay, if you're just going to come to the stream and consume, I guess that's fine. I can't stop you, and I don't have a problem with that. But I think you deserve more. You deserve more, and you should give more. Anyhow, that's just my philosophy. So this is a community that we're trying to build to help everybody, not just me, but to help you connect with other people. Okay. Pay it forward. Pay it forward is something else I thought about to stay resilient in the networking and keep a cadence and to get engaged that way is thinking about a way you can pay it forward. Now, this is specifically more importantly for those people who are currently working and don't think they need to network or don't know how to network or don't have a purpose that way. Maybe it's just you pouring out, or just saying yes when somebody reaches out. So how many of you in the chat, if somebody reached out to you and said they needed help, would say yes? Okay. How many of you, if someone reached out to you, would you say yes if they needed help? And most of you would say, yes, of course, we would help. Now switch the tables. Okay. You see how this works? It's a pay it forward commitment. And really, if you're back to work, it's not doing it for everybody. It's saying, okay, I'm going to do for this one person, maybe it's just one person. I'm going to do for this one person what I might do for many. And I think I learned that from Andy Stanley. He runs a mega church, I think in Atlanta. And I'm surprised at, these mega churches are run like real businesses. Okay. And they have leadership principles and they teach a lot of valuable universal truth. And I find it fascinating personally. I understand if you don't, but hey, it is what it is. So, hi, Mina. Good to have you here. Good to see you. Welcome back. Awesome. Gosh, there's a lot of good people here today. So that's really all I had today, folks. So if you want to come on live, I will again put the link in the chat, whether you're on YouTube, Periscope, Facebook, LinkedIn Live. Come on, let's go. Who wants to come on and have a conversation? Otherwise, if you've got things going on, I understand. That's fine. whatever it takes, right? Okay, I think it's in there. Looks like we got 15 people here now. Now, who's going to make a commitment? Because I'm in here, so that means 14. Well, I guess it could be available for some of you, but anyway, because I want to pay it forward. Anyhow, there's 15 people in here. Would you make a commitment to connect with 14 people in the next week? Have a conversation verbally with each one? That would be probably more than the one a day. That would be all right, wouldn't it? Good. Looks like Joe's got some information here. Thank you, Joe. Had 2 interviews yesterday. Congratulations, Joe. One, he had a good inside commitment. Just found out I lost the opportunity. You didn't lose the opportunity, okay? You weren't rejected. The company accepted somebody else. There can be only one, Joe. Joe, there can only be one. There's probably several hundred applicants. You made it to the interview phase. That is a win. Getting the interview is what you want. Now, perfecting your interview skill is the next step. So if we recognize that somebody came in, and yes, it's kind of deflating and depressing, but think about it this way. You just met a hiring manager you probably didn't know before. You just understood a company you didn't maybe have as well of an understanding before. This is the beginning of a relationship. Don't think that that door is closed, okay? The door has been opened. You walked through it. You're on the inside, okay? Why would you close the door once it's been opened? I wouldn't. I'd keep that door open, and I would continue that conversation even though I didn't get the job. You know what? I'm really grateful. I wanted to thank you for the opportunity to interview here. It really is something that I appreciate very much. Thank you. And just leave it at that for now, right? So then a week, 2 weeks from now, you reach back out to them and say, hey, I'm still in my process. I'm interviewing at these companies. Just wanted to let you know again how grateful I am for the chance to have interviewed with your company. I'm open to networking or offering you any suggestion, or just be a resource to people, okay? Good. Ted in the community giving advice. Excellent. Excellent, excellent. So Joe, stick with it, man. It's a marathon. It's not a sprint, okay? In fact, there was a really good video just the other day by Simon Sinek about the infinite game, So keep that in mind too. So I don't see anybody coming on here. So I mean, I'm okay letting you guys chat and hang out and answer any questions you might have. So I would encourage you guys to connect, have conversation, use the networking checklist, use the anatomy of a networking conversation, and make it happen. Mina in the house. Actually, we do have a guest. How blessed am I to have Mina in the house? Now, Mina, before I bring you in, you need to turn off your LinkedIn, right? So this has happened before. People came in through LinkedIn and their LinkedIn was still open. So if I bring you in, you need to turn off your LinkedIn, okay? So let's see if Mina can make it in. Mina, let me get my headphones. Can you hear me? Hello? Are you there? How come I don't hear you? Maybe I don't have... No, I have audio on. You might want to check your audio.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, there you go. Hi, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Hey, you know what? You're supposed to mute your phone when you come on here. Come on now.
I know. How's
Mina,
everything?
what's on your mind? What can I help you with?
So this, my question is, I had two recruiters reach out to me, one from Amazon and one from Space Labs, and the recruiter from Amazon was very excited, and then she said, oh yeah, I'm going to go forward and schedule a phone interview. Please go and apply for this job. I did that. And then she said, oh, I'm not seeing you on the portal. I sent her snapshots that I've applied for the job, and didn't happen. She didn't come back. So, and this happened with another company as well. They said, oh, we want to bring you in for a phone interview, and then please give me a call back and so that I can schedule. I called back and I haven't heard back. So I'm not sure what is going on.
When was that?
This happened last week.
Okay. Who else do you know in the company?
In Amazon, I can reach out to more people, but in this other company, I really don't know anybody there. It's called Space Labs.
Okay. Who can you get to know there?
The thing is, they reached out to me last year as well for a different role, and by then I had started working at Microsoft, and it seemed to me, she actually brought up this person's name when she called me, and then that's the person. So I have written to the other recruiter that reached out, but she hasn't responded.
Mina,
yep.
Did you miss the question? Who can you get to know at Space Labs? Is there anybody listed on LinkedIn?
Yeah, I have to find.
Is there anybody in the chat, by the way, in the live stream that knows anybody at Space Labs that would like an exceptional program manager. Right? So just keep that in mind, that there's got to be somebody there, Mina, that can help you. And the objective is, I mean, I don't know how many people work at Space Labs, but if it's less than 100, then you can probably meet everybody at the company. That's probably where I'd start. I start at the top and work my way down. Right? Anybody that's got a pulse and works inside that company, I'm going to talk to them. Now, there's a gentleman that I remember. His name is Rich. He did 98 one-on-one meetings at Nike. He wanted to work there really bad. Okay. And what happened is he had been there so much, and so many people had seen him that they thought he already worked there. And so when he went in, they had a hiring freeze. When the hiring freeze was over, he got an offer. And even the interview team admitted or commented that they thought he already worked at the company because they'd seen him there so much. Everybody knew him. Now, what can you learn from that?
I know, show up and actually engage with people.
All right. And you're good at that, right?
Yeah.
You're very approachable.
Thank you for that.
Of course. Well, I mean, all it takes is that smile. You know, it's not complicated. Is it hard work? Yeah, Mina, it's hard work. It's hard to reach out to people you don't know and put yourself out there for fear of rejection. I'll just let you know in advance, you're going to get rejected. Just move on to the next person.
Okay.
You don't control their response to your approach. Now, you can improve your approach to get better results, but you know, you need to feel bad for them that they're not responsive to outreach. I would, but again, it depends on the reason for your outreach. If I'm reaching out to everybody at Space Labs about my need for employment or my candidacy at the company, that's a problem, right? Now I'm a tactical job seeker. I don't know that you want a brand called tactical job seeker or desperate job seeker. Now, you may not be a desperate job seeker, but that's how you'll be perceived. Does that make sense? So maybe you just reach out to people at Space Labs from a position of interest and curiosity and wanting to learn more about the company and how it aligns with your values. I mean, I don't know anybody who would say no to that.
Yep.
Now, they might say no to, hey, I'm interested in a job at your company. Can you help me? Well, that's the job of human resources, our talent acquisition folks. I'll shoot you right over to them. Hang on. Hold one moment. I'll transfer your call. Right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're talking about here. Good. Look at this. Do you see Diana in the chat? You probably don't because you hung up your LinkedIn, right?
Yep.
Diana in the chat says, I have someone in my network who knows someone at Space Labs.
Oh, fantastic.
Okay. That's the beauty of this community.
Okay.
Spread the love, right?
Yeah.
We're here to help each other. That's the whole point of LinkedIn. And I want to fan the flames of that, right?
Yeah. And also, I would love to work with Microsoft as a full-time employee, of course.
Yeah.
In certain spaces, and there's a hiring freeze, and I have to take it from there.
Well, I mean, Mina, that might be a convenient excuse because that's actually a super good excuse to actually do the networking. Why? Because now they have nothing to offer you and you have nothing to ask from them, and it takes away all the pretense to a networking conversation.
Okay.
Right? There's no job that I want and there's no job you can offer. Great. Let's just have a conversation.
Okay.
Right? About them, the career path, where are they headed? What are they considering? When the hiring freeze is over, what do they anticipate for their own career? See, now I'm a person of interest and curiosity, not a person of demand and need for employment. You see the difference there?
Yeah. And also, in LinkedIn, when a lot of people don't check their LinkedIns frequently. So when you're trying to connect with folks on LinkedIn whom you have worked with, I see that they don't check and it's hard for me to connect, get some time off their calendar. I
Sure.
would approach the LinkedIn. With an email also, I'm not sure if that's taking it too far. Like, I think LinkedIn is more appropriate for a job inquiry or a, informational session.
It's right. It's hard to know which is the preferred communication method for any person. Meaning, hey, I could reach out to 100 people by LinkedIn message and I only get half of them respond. Why? Some people turn off notifications. They don't even know I sent them in the message. They're not waiting by LinkedIn 24/7. Okay. Those people, I'm going to send a LinkedIn message, yes, but I'll follow that up with an email.
Okay.
And then from an email, if I don't get them from that, I'm going to call them on the phone. So you see how this works? So if I worked with you and you and I knew each other and I had your LinkedIn, your email, and your cell number, and I sent you a LinkedIn message, no response, email, no response, I'm calling you on the cell phone.
Will that be too much? Will it be done? Will they get annoyed?
Hey, you know what? I sent you an email. I'm not sure if you read it. This is Mina. You remember me? Are you doing okay? It's a pandemic, right? Everybody's impacted equally. Are you okay? Well, I'm kind of worried about losing my job. Yeah, I know. I have those same feelings. In fact, I'm in the process of looking for work. How can I help you? Right? So how can I help the other person? Make sense?
Yeah, sounds good. Thank you.
You're welcome. I appreciate your courage, your bravery, and your willingness to come on live in front of a huge audience. Well, it's not a huge audience. I think it's like 15 people. So
yeah, I like to meet people.
But it will be accessible on replay and on YouTube. So it will hit a lot of people. Okay. Mina, looking for opportunities at Space Labs, Amazon, and Microsoft, right? Preference for Microsoft. Good. So if anybody has any connections,
any place that has flexibility to work remotely as well, that's very helpful.
Yeah. Well, and that's part of the networking process, right? Is you identifying companies that will have that.
Yeah.
But here in this community, it's just connecting with people and having that conversation to get to the next level on our target list. So maybe formulate yourself a target list.
Yeah. Thank you.
Of companies. All right. Thanks, Mina. Take care. Be well. Have a good weekend.
Thank you.
All right. Bye. All right. If you want to come on like Mina and take advantage of some free coaching, please, by all means, use the link that's in the chat. Microsoft is in a freeze while doing a churn, blah, 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 for the fiscal year 21 budget. They will open it. Okay. I think 3 weeks. Can you build a relationship in 3 weeks? Maybe. I wouldn't wait. So here's the thing. A lot of companies are facing this, right? They're having to furlough people or lay them off, and the work is just delayed. So I perceive that the work is just delayed. It doesn't mean that the work has gone away. It's just been delayed. So they went and they laid off all these people. They furloughed a bunch of others. Now what? They're going to have to staff that back up to meet the demand of the market. And some markets are backlogged. So think about it from that perspective. This is the time to be networking, folks. People are at home. They're in a captive environment. We're not yet back to work, right? Many states are still work from home. Many companies work from home. This is an opportunity to do some networking virtually through the video, Zooms and such like that. I would be all over that. I'd be contacting anybody and everybody. And this is the exact reason a hiring freeze that you should be networking. Maybe there's people at Microsoft that are concerned about losing their jobs that Maybe you could just serve as a voice of reason or a comfort or encouragement. Okay. Good. Awesome. Well, this is your community. If you want to join, go ahead and click the link down below. If there's anything that you learned here today that you found useful, let me know what that is in the chat. I will be sending out the scripts. I think they're really valuable. And in lieu of that, I'll just wish you all a really good weekend. I'll see you next Career Happy Hour. All right. Take care, everybody. Have a good day.